Welcome everybody to the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me, as always, is my hetero life mate Rico. What's up, man?
Happy birthday to me.
What was that? Jerry Lewis and Marilyn Monroe? What the fuck was that? That was like a whoa. But happy birthday.
That was me doing a bad imitation of you singing "Happy Birthday" to me.
You do realize that that's not on that's actually on purpose. Like that's not. I'm singing terribly on purpose, right?
Of course.
Okay.
But I've also have heard you sing as best as you can.
Ow! Thanks, man. Damn.
No. In all seriousness, I do want to thank you and everybody for all the love that you guys set aside for my secret fucking birthday episode. It meant the world to me. I laughed, I cried, I cried and laughed. That's all. Those are the only really real emotions I had. It was just tears streaming down my face and a big ass grin on my face. So
I hoped occasionally you just sat there shaking your head like, "What the fuck?" But not in a bad way, but just like, "What?"
There were some times where I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
There were some moments where I actually would be like, "What the fuck? How did he get them?"
Oh, you mean like cat eaters or something?
Yeah, that was. I mean, no less grateful for her coming on, but that was one of the bigger shocks for me.
Yeah, I definitely tried to pull some surprises out for you. I'm gonna do a quick run through. I have the list here of people that participated, and I would like to thank them all again real quick, so if you'll indulge me for a second, Rico. Big shout-outs to Henry, Bethany, and Jess from the Body Count Podcast, Steve, our friend Midnight Smoke, Jamie Cat Eaters, Chris and OC from the Dave Podcast, Debbie, of course, and then Maddie Granger and April.
As well as...
Oh, and Jay, I'm sorry, you know what, but... You're right, because the list here was me arranging the verbals, yes. But Jay as well. Her letter was beautiful. So
yes, and I'll again thank you all to everybody, and you, and ultimately I gotta thank you, man. You did it was really a sweet thing, and it. You know, like I feel like I'm always just now going to second guess my birthday if you're going to do a fucking episode.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to top that one like that.
That's the thing is like you shot your wad out, dude. You got to fucking only do it. You know, if you're going to do this, you got to go just a couple guests and have them talk for a long time, not a bunch of guests talking for short time. You got to. You know, that's how you gotta do this. But honestly, dude, you're making me look like the shitty friend. Like no. Because I can't record a fucking secret episode for you.
You could do a rant.
I could do a rant. But you know, for your birthday, you're turning 40. I don't want to fucking.
Oh, well, that's next year. We already did this year, so.
I know, but like I'm saying, for your next birthday, I want to try and do something special.
Well, I think I may have to. Dial it back to your milestone ones at this point, because if I don't, I'm gonna run out of shit to do. So
I know it's gonna be like, all right, let's talk about Rico again, and they're like, motherfucker, fuck this guy,
yeah,
fuck him at his birthday. He's only turning 29. Like that's an achievement.
I do like the large amount of shit you took, because it did occur to me that all of us were older than you by a reasonable margin.
I thought Henry was younger than me.
Yeah, Henry might be the only one that was younger than you, but the rest of us were reasonably older than you, and I think I'm the second oldest person that wished you a happy birthday on that thing.
You know, it's not my fucking fault that my parents fucked when they fucked, okay?
Well, they should have got on it sooner. I don't know.
No, they should not have.
So... no, but I'm glad you liked it. Do you have any, and I'm not asking you to, like, pick a favorite, but any highlights for you or anything like that? Anything that, like, really kind of, I mean, obviously the surprise of cat ears, but I mean, like.
Honestly, I feel like I owe Henry some fucking impressions.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes me wonder how much of our library he's listened to. No, I'm just messing with you, Henry, but still.
But I don't think I've done my Pacino on air.
Yeah, you have.
Like, I don't. Have I?
It's really been more like a passing thing where, like, you've been talking about something and then throughout, like, what a great ass or something like that. Like, and then going right back into you. Like, it hasn't been, like, in a prolonged Pacino thing. So,
for our listeners, for our number one fans, how about this? How about every time I do an old impression or a new impression, you make a note and then you fucking send that shit to CJ, because I honestly don't know how many impressions I do.
4.
And I don't really have a number. I have 4.
Yeah.
Fuck. How about you do an impression of someone with some fucking talent?
Hey. I put some serious shit together, man. I got talent. I'm the organizer.
All right. You can,
no, but good. For me, like, look, thank you again, everybody. Like, I'm not discrediting anyone's appearance. It was a lot of fun. I got pretty much exactly what I expected from each guest that we had on there. Henry talking movies, Chris and OC just going back and forth off each other. Like, hey, can I get in there?
That was a highlight. To hear, I say happy, you say birthday. That actually made me laugh a lot. I think one of the best parts of it was Stephanie was laughing.
What's that?
I think one of the best parts of it was watching. Like, I laughed, but Steph was laughing the entire time.
Good. Well, and I mean, it's complimentary, but Steph's easy to make laugh, so it's good.
Why do you think I date her? Exactly.
But I mean, like with the Chris and OC one where he's like, hey, OC, can I get in on half of that? Like that part cracked me the fuck up. So
yeah, it was like, hey, can I get a bite of that sandwich? Or can I get half of that? And like, no, I just want to get in on this love for Rico.
Yeah.
Other parts I really thoroughly enjoyed. Hearing April's voice, everybody, honestly, everybody, but some major highlights was, obviously I've got a big giant man crush on Matty Granger. There's no fucking arguing that. It's so weird because, like, he's just a dude and he'd be the first to say it.
Yeah.
But it did really kind of like speak volumes that he took the time, especially with his insane schedule to talk about me and be nice and ultimately just be kind. I thought it was pretty interesting that there was a very slight reference to the King of Comedy, which I know you still haven't seen, even though you said you were going to that night.
Well, yeah, just because I really haven't had the opportunity. But I will tell you that I have taken some shit for that since we released your birthday episode. So,
rightfully so. It is a phenomenal fucking movie.
Look, as bad as this may make me sound, I will tell you that's not it. Me not seeing it has not been like a choice. I didn't even know it existed till Maddie said it.
I think that's worse, dude, if I'm being honest.
Well, maybe. But I'm not like... Because I'll tell you who gave me shit, all right? And it wasn't on the recording. It was well post. But was Henry. Henry was like, what the fuck, dude? like he was, fucking around as he does. Like, I know he's not being shitty, but like,
Did you even look at the basic premise of the plot?
Dude, I haven't had the time. I've been running like a madman.
All right, I'm going to give you the 10-second fucking, plot, okay?
Go for it.
Robert De Niro wants to be a fucking stand-up comic. He wants to... His dream job is to basically run his own talk show, like comedy talk show, right? Jerry Lewis is basically playing, Jerry Lewis. His name is Jerry Langford. And he is like a Letterman, Carson, Leno type of guy.
Right.
De Niro gets so obsessed and stalks the motherfucker and eventually kidnaps him and holds him hostage so that he can go on stage and do the opening monologue. That's what the movie's about. It's about obsession. It's about stalking. It's about celebrityism. It's about really kind of going after your dreams a little too much.
It's kind of First off, you said 10 seconds. That was well longer than 10 seconds. But that aside,
well, I got a small dick. I have to overcompensate.
What? Anyway, the other thing that, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like and maybe this was meant to be a kind of a remake of this, but it was a terrible movie called The Fan, which De Niro was also in, with Wesley Snipes, I believe, and it's about baseball.
I don't know. See, this is a movie I've never heard of.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, I'm not going to pretend it's some great movie because it's terrible, but
you're really selling it, my friend.
I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just saying, though, that the concept is very, very similar. Here, I'm pulling it up just so you can see what I'm talking about. But, yeah, no, I know Maddie charged me with watching that, and I didn't get a chance, and I know, but...
Well, now I am. Now you've got to definitely watch it.
Yeah, yeah, here we go.
Oh, Tony Scott directed it.
Yeah.
It's got Ellen Barkin.
Here, I'll get to the full cast for you. I mean, it's got a decent cast to it. It's just not a good movie,
yeah.
You know? Which
John
happens.
Leguizamo, Benicio del Toro.
Wesley Snipes.
And I don't recognize anybody else.
Ellen Barkin. Let's see. Yeah, the rest of it's... Oh, John Kruk actually shows up. That's funny. He's an actual baseball... He's actually a baseball player. Played for Philadelphia Phillies. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see.
Oh, Tuesday Night. I know that name. Tuesday Night.
Really?
I want to say... the name... She was... I want to say she was in... I want to say she was like in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie or something.
Hold on. I'll pull it up. While it's loading, though, one of my favorite people, MC Gainey. I like him a lot. He's a character actor, but I've seen him in a bunch of shit, and I like him a lot. Mm-hmm. Aaron Neville. There you go.
The singer?
Yeah.
The guy who sounds like he's like different, like going through different stages of puberty.
Yep. Yeah. Basically.
Can you click on Tuesday Night? I want to see which. Here she goes.
Nightmare 4.
I knew. I had a feeling it was. Well, that being said, again, I want to thank everybody, and I want to thank you, and it was a good one. It was easily one of my favorite episodes.
One of the things I liked about it was, like I said, I got pretty much what I expected from every person. Do you know what I mean? For the most part, when I was putting the guest list together, I knew kind of what I was going to be getting, and none of them disappointed. I don't want to say it like that, but the one set of guests that did not disappoint, and I knew exactly what I was getting, was Beth and Jazz.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as, no disrespect to either of them.
None.
They are who they are, and we love them for how they are.
Exactly.
But I can predict
the chaos.
I can predict how Jess is gonna greet the audience.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna do, how you guys doing? Abso-fucking-lutely perfect, or whatever she's gonna have this long, drawled out way of, fuck you guys, you pieces of shit. No, I'm happy to be here. Well, Jesus.
And then I got the slow clap again.
Yeah, what the fuck? It was just interesting to hear that and hear them try and reel her back in.
But it was fun, and
it was fun, and I appreciate them coming on.
Yeah,
and I know I can talk minor shit because she doesn't listen to anything.
I know she pulled out another one I didn't think she listened to, and she pulled out one that I didn't know she had already heard, and that was the Back to the Future episode. So,
oh yeah, she did listen to that. Well, you know what?
She might listen. She might not. Who knows? She won't listen to the birthday one.
I'm sorry.
She won't listen to the birthday one. We know that because she doesn't listen to herself.
We just have to tell her that she's on every episode and that she'll not listen to it.
Like, I don't remember recording that one. Well, you were drunk, so. But
yeah, that being said, I do appreciate, and I am actually having a a second birthday dinner tonight. So
yep. And
it's going to be interesting. I'm going to go to a Benihana type of place, and I'm forever going to because Chris Farley and Beverly Hills Ninja has ruined Benihana for me. Because at one point he dresses up as a fucking chef and is just trying to flip the knives around and just being an overall idiot. And that's what I think of every time I go to a fucking a Benihana teppanyaki kind of place.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen it, so I'm not scorned by that, but I hear you.
You bitched about it enough when we were talking about comedy a couple episodes back.
I didn't bitch about Beverly Hills Ninja. I never saw it, so why would I bitch about it?
You did bitch about it.
I've never seen it.
Even though you said you never saw it.
I did not. I did not talk about that movie at all.
I'm pretty sure you did.
I said I don't like those movies he's in. But I've never seen that.
How do you know you haven't seen them?
Because they're all the fucking same.
No, they're not.
Well, anyway, I have been told based on that I don't have a sense of humor. So
I don't think that's fair. I think you have a sense of humor. I think you just don't know what it is.
Then maybe that's it. That being said, when you're hearing this, or when this is being released, I should say, it is going to be the 4th of July weekend. So happy 4th of July to everybody. Hope you're being safe and, at a barbecue and having some cocktails and not playing with fireworks at the same time. So don't drink and firework.
Happy 4th of July, especially Henry.
Yes. Sorry about that little skirmish. We won, so deal with it. But
did we though? Did we?
Until 3 years ago, we did. So.
Yeah. That was. I actually I made a post on Twitter I would like to gain my independence from Trump.
No. Well. All right.
And I know you don't mean to make our show political, but it is really hard for me to be apolitical when so much is going. I mean, he's fucking meeting with North Korea and shaking it and just doing a photo op with Kim Jong-un just because. America's not a reality show, even though it's become one.
Well, it feels like a fucking episode of The Apprentice, but we'll leave it there.
I feel like it's more of an episode of the fucking Kardashians. You know what I'm saying? Or at least The Apprentice and the Kardashians are like The Apprentice. That's what I feel like America's sort of become. But one of the good things about Independence Day is they made a fucking couple movies, or at least they made one good movie called Independence Day.
Well, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the two Independence Day movies. ID4, as it's commonly, the first one is commonly referred to. And then Independence Day Resurgence, which came out 20 years later, almost to the day, actually, if I recall.
That's the thing. I didn't know the ID4 and ultimately the IDR was a thing. Because I guess they didn't own I think Warner Brothers actually owned the rights to the title Independence Day. And Fox had to fucking, give it a sub name, I guess.
What, for the first one or the second one?
Both of them.
I don't know how. Okay. I'm not sure how they
I don't know. I looked up some trivia and there was some legal bullshit between Warner Brothers and Fox over just the title Independence Day.
I don't think I knew that. I believe you, but I don't think I knew that.
First off, I guess I'm going to have a slight confession. I may get some shit, and I know I'm going to come off it's going to come off really funny. Despite the fact that I grew up loving the early 90s cinema, and I grew up with a lot of the the resurgence of the 80s cinema, Goonies, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park. I sort of put them all in one thing, right? The big blockbusters of the 80s and 90s. Independence Day was the one I gave less of a shit about. I don't know what it was. I think it was just because I never fully watched it from beginning to end, and I never saw it in theaters.
See, now that's, we've talked about a lot of movies, and we've talked about, seeing things in theaters or not seeing things in theaters. Independence Day, I saw in theaters 4th of July weekend. Like, I saw that. That's one of the few, and, granted, I was 16 and there was like 10 of us, so we're all going to the movies, we're going to see Independence Day. It was like, all right, let's go. Which is a lot different now when I have a little more control over, like, where I'm going and who I'm going with. And I'm like,
sure.
Yeah. But I saw it in the theater, that weekend. And I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why I hold this movie the way I hold it. Because I do have an interesting love for this movie.
Now, when you rewatched it, did you watch the special edition version or the theatrical version?
Theatrical.
Okay, so I may have a slightly negative. Look, just saying it out front. I liked the Independence Day movie. I liked the first one a lot. I thought it was really well done for what it was.
Sure.
However, I think I fucked myself over because I saw the special edition. The special edition was not that special. It really should just be special ed. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for it. You know what?
Bad.
I own up. That was a bad joke. I apologize. But you know what?
In the words of Babylon, file that.
I will file that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The special edition just took a lot of deleted scenes and just shoved them into the movie.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of when they do that. If they do it right, and we've talked about that before, and the one I always seem to go to for a good example of that is Daredevil, the Affleck Daredevil, because the director's cut of that is substantially better than the theatrical release, and it's because of some of the scenes they put back in. So,
well, I actually didn't hate the theatrical cut of Daredevil either, but
but I didn't either. But the director's cut is still substantially better than the theatrical cut.
I agree, but for this, since because I didn't watch Independence Day like I watched Jurassic Park or Goonies or Indiana Jones. I think I've seen it in chunks over the years. And I think this may have been the first time I actually sat down and watched it from beginning, middle, and end.
So there's a first here. It's the first time I forced you to watch some shit that you've never seen before. Because usually it's okay, I haven't seen that in 10 years, or I haven't seen that in forever. But it's the first time it's like, I've never really watched it.
With the exception of that Michael Keaton Insanity movie that you made me watch.
Insanity movie?
Where they're fucking like the Michael Keaton version of Cuckoo's Nest. What the fuck? The Good Man? No, the one where they're in a fucking asylum and they go to New York City.
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't for an episode. I'm talking for an episode. Like, we watched that just to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I reiterate, I have seen Independence Day. I just have not seen it for like 20 years, and I don't think I saw the whole thing. I still counted the fact that I saw it.
Whatever.
But,
you can't just let me have
I'll give it to you. You made me watch a fucking movie for an episode. I saw it. You happy?
Yes, thank you.
I'm not happy you made me fucking see the second one.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I don't think it's as bad. And we even talked. Okay, so last night I did the monthly tabletop stream that I do.
Right.
And I brought up the fact that we were doing this episode today, and the one person I was talking to, Kane, he agreed with me that, like, yes, comparatively, the second one's bad to the first one. However, it's not as bad as some other movies that are out there. Like, it's serviceable, and as a sequel, it does what it does. But it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, not by a long shot.
I think I would have to kind of agree and disagree. I think if it was a standalone movie, you know what I mean? Like, if it was just, there was no first Independence Day, I think actually it'd be a pretty decent flick. But as a sequel, I find it really bad. It connects to the world. It is a sequel in the sense that it expands the world, and I actually am kind of digging this universe that's this.
Right.
But
right.
As a story itself, it really wasn't fucking great. if I'm being honest.
And I think to your point about the universe, because of it being part of a universe, that's why. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of tie back to the first movie. You know, there's also a lot of like empty space, no pun intended, that doesn't get filled in very well. And I have to agree with you there. Like, so, I definitely want to go back to the first one, but Liam Hemsworth's character, Jake Morris, I liked him, but there's no real explanation. There's not a whole lot of backfill there. And why
do we give a fuck about his character? Is really...
Well, you give a fuck about his character because he's engaged to the former president's daughter, who's the Secretary of State.
Why do we give why is that
And then he has the history with Dylan, Will Smith's son's character,
Which, let's talk about that.
Sure.
Let's go back to the first movie, and let's say that 75% of why the first movie was so successful was based on Will Smith's charisma. Okay, 50%.
I'll give you 50. Right. Yeah, I'll give you 50% because, like, I think Bill Pullman's performance in that movie is really good. I think that Jeff Goldblum's performance is really good. Like, I mean, it's typical Goldblum, but it's still good, And then even Judd Hirsch as his father, like that offset. That was a good pairing because I feel like it offset the typical Goldblum that we get. It was a good way to offset that.
I gotta agree. I actually will. I will say this up front. I think Judd Hirsch is the fucking gem of these movies, and especially the second one because he's really the funny part of the second one. Everyone else is trying to do one-liners and jokes, but they all seem forced. Whereas when he does it, it seems natural.
See, it didn't feel natural to me in the second one. To me, it felt forced. It felt more natural to me in the first one.
Well, either way, we're going to agree to disagree on certain shit as we always do.
No. Yeah, of course. I'm not, but I'm just saying. To me, Judd Hirsch's character felt a little too. In the second one, felt too
stereotypical.
Not even stereotypical, but trying to push the comedy. Like it felt like they put him in positions for one-liners so that he could deliver the one-liner, whereas the one-liners in the first one felt like they came unforced into the position. Do you know what I mean? Like he was there, and so
Sure. I gotta say, for it being 20 years later, his character aged remarkably fucking well.
Right. Speaking of aging, there's a couple questions I have about that, but let's go back to the first one, because again, it's the better of the two. We both agree with that. So it's like I said, I saw it in the theater. It was chock full of character actors and high profile people. I think, at least in my opinion. You got Mary McDonnell, you got Judd Hirsch, as we talked about, Robert Loggia, who is just an acting gem.
Robert Loggia.
I love him, though.
I love Robert Loggia.
You get James Reborn, who's, I think that's how you say his name, but he's just a douchebag in every movie I've ever seen him in. But he's really good at it. So, like, I'm not saying shitty things about him. He's a great actor because he's great at playing a douchebag.
You saw Scent of a Woman, right?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. He is always, I remember he was also, what the fuck else was he in? He was in,
hold on.
I'm going to look it up.
I got him right here.
But, okay, you know what the biggest surprise because I hadn't seen this movie in 20 years. When Harry Connick Jr. shows up.
Oh, Yeah.
I flipped the fuck. I in a very positive way. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing in this?
And he plays a really campy role, but not in a way that it's stupid or annoying. Like, it's really endearing. Like, you really love the campiness of that character. You know what I mean? Like, his, it took me a while to wrap my brain around this sequence where Will's character drops the ring and Harry picks it up and then it pans out, and it looks like he's proposing to him, but it didn't, like, click in my brain. I mean, not on this viewing. Like, I realized it a long time ago, but that didn't click into me right away, you know?
I was more... Yeah, I agree. I thought Harry Connick Jr. is an underrated actor, especially an underrated comedic actor.
Right. And then his Reverend King speech that he does in the plane is like...
Is Al Sharpton.
No. I think that's supposed to be Martin Luther King.
I think he was referencing Sharpton. He was doing an impression. And the subtitles said impersonating Al Sharpton.
Well, just because the subtitle said doesn't mean it is.
I mean, yeah, actually.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it could be wrong. You know what? Now I got to look it up. Now you're going to be a douche, and I got to look it up. So I'm going to look it up. I'm
not being a douche. You're being a douche. You just can't tell the difference between fucking Martin Luther King and fucking Al Sharpton. But anyways, Harry Connick Jr., dude, I thought was funny. You know, yeah, he was one of the best parts of Iron Giant, and I love the movie The Iron Giant. He also, what else was he in? He was super fucking creepy in a movie called Copycat.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
Dude, he imagine if you took the same type of, you know, Southern accent that he has in Independence Day and like made him super creepy and like a serial killer and super stocky.
Right.
Like a stalkerish, not like stocky like I'm
Yeah. I know what you meant. Yeah.
But I genuinely believe the friendship between Will Smith and Harry Connick Jr. I thought that was... Yeah. I thought that was good.
And you know, for it being Will's first, like, starring role...
Well, his first breakout. I mean, he had been in something else right before, and I think it was like...
Where he plays the gay guy, but I don't think that's his starring role. I think that's a support role. Like, it's a major support role, but I don't think it's a starring role. Because I know what you're talking about.
Well, he was in what the fuck? It was something. I mean, he was in Fresh Prince.
Right.
We know that.
Because this is the movie that gets referenced in Jersey Girl. This is the movie that Ben's character flips out about him starring in. Like, if you recall, where he basically loses his job.
Very
Spoilers.
True. 6 Degrees of Separation was the one he did before. And then he did Bad Boys. Bad Boys was right before Independence Day.
Was it?
Yeah.
No
Bad
shit.
Boys came on fucking 95.
95.
And Independence Day was 96.
Well, fuck, man.
And then it was Men in Black. Like,
right, Men in Black was after. Right, I knew that.
Men in Black, I mean, like, for a while, I was expecting Will Smith to just fight all the aliens.
Well, that's kind of why, like, he was hesitant to do the second Men in Black when they did it, because he didn't want to be pigeonholed into that kind of character, you know, alien fighting special agent thing. By the way, you know, you'll find this interesting because you mentioned Bad Boys. Bad Boys for Life, which is Bad Boys 3, is due out next year. It's in post-production. Has not even come out yet. They've announced Bad Boys 4.
Oh, really?
According to the IMDb.
I don't like that shit. I don't like it when they do that type of shit.
I have to agree. Like, I you know, there's a handful of series or whatever where you can do that. Like the Marvel movies, you can announce it's going to be, you know, Spider-Man... Homeboys for Life or whatever they're going to call the third one, you know, because you know that thing's going to... I don't know. But you know that...
That's a good one.
Because they're going to... That's going to make a ton of money. It's going to make all the money in the world this weekend, you know, like...
But it's also going to be good. Like, even if it's not as good, it's still going to be good. Bad Boys 3 could fucking be bad.
Or it could be the best one in the trilogy to this point.
Right. So, I mean, I've also been hearing rumors that Birds of Prey, the fucking Suicide Squad spinoff that we've talked about is like, there's already some reviews, like early buzz of early screenings, and they're saying that it's crazy in a good way. It's all over the place, all over the top in a good way. And I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. Every early review for DC has been fucking
really
phenomenal reviews. And then we watch it, we're like, what the fuck?
The problem that Birds of Prey has, and we need to get back to Independence Day, but the problem that Birds of Prey has going for it right off jump is simply the fact that it's going to get compared to Suicide Squad, without question. It's, you know what I mean?
But at the same time, there's a separate Suicide Squad reboot being made.
Right. I know. So we'll have to see. But anyway, aside,
it's important to talk about Suicide Squad because Will Smith was in both.
Yes, he was Deadshot. Get back to the Independence Day though. So first off, like I said, I really liked Jeff Goldblum's character. I liked how I felt he was similar to his character in Jurassic Park, but not as campy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it felt more serious.
I 100% agree. I liked him more in Independence Day than I did in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, right. And it just fit better. He felt like he fit in better there.
You know what he is? This Jeff Goldblum is the same Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park 2, not 1.
Yeah. And if I recall, and I'm looking up while we're talking, I think Jurassic Park 2 came out after this movie. So I'm wondering if maybe he kind of took this and went, okay, that's what I should have done, and did that for, you know what I mean, Jurassic Park 2.
I think his character as Ian Malcolm needed some growth, and whereas in this one, as in Independence Day and then Independence Day 2 or Resurgence or whatever the fuck it's called, it's more Jeff Goldblum-y. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. This doesn't feel like the same character. Also, there are parts of this history of the first two movies where I feel like I missed something, but they didn't explain anything. Why? What happened to his wife between the first one and the second one?
Okay, so that's one of the notes I took. You're very 100% right. They don't get into that. They talk about what happened to Will Smith's character. You know what happened to him.
Which was kind of a fucking... Like, I know he was expensive and he didn't want to come back for a sequel, or he was filming Suicide Squad. That's ultimately why.
Oh, really?
But
okay.
Yeah, he chose Suicide Squad over Independence Day 2. It's hard to determine which one was the better choice. But
well, let's say Independence Day, because I think even without him, it's a better movie. But with him, it probably would have been an even better movie. You know what I mean?
think I was more entertained by Suicide Squad, even though I hated it more.
I can see that, but
at least Suicide Squad had fucking Batman.
For briefly, but yes,
it helped.
Oh well, yeah, it was one of the better scenes in the movie. But anyway.
But yeah, where the fuck? I mean, to kill him off screen in kind of a shitty way, which is like he was testing a new ship that he had already kind of flown already. Like, he was like one of the pioneers. He was the first human to pilot one of these spacecrafts, and they were testing, combining their old technology with the other's new technology, and it blew up. Like, really? That's such an awful fucking way for the character.
What really should have happened if he did come back was, like, he should have been president. Like, I had no problem with him being Celia Ward and a female president, all that kind of stuff. Like, that was great. Yeah. Awesome. You know what I mean? But, like, if he came back, that's where you should have put his character. He should have been in the White House.
Or have him be the colonel.
That's the guy.
Robert Loggia have a small-ass cameo was... nice, especially I think it was probably his last movie.
Oh, has he passed? I didn't realize.
I think Robert Loggia passed like right after the premiere or something. He died pretty recently.
He looked, I mean, with all respect to Robert Loggia, he looked sickly. He didn't look good in that.
Look, with all due respect to Robert Loggia's always looked like that.
No, but he looked really sickly. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude.
Yeah, he looked old.
Yeah.
He looked old and tired. To be fair, so did fucking Bill Pullman.
Well, yeah, but I think that was on purpose, whereas I think Loggia just was. I hate to say it, but I mean, yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Independence Day Resurgence came out on June 24th, 16, and Robert Loggia passed away on December 4th, 15. So they must have shot it
Oh.
And then he passed.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I thought he had died more recent than that, but okay.
Mm-mm. Well, at least according to IMDb. Let's hope it's
no,
right.
Yeah, I mean, IMDb is usually on top of this shit.
They are, yeah. So, but his character in the first one was great, fantastic. Loved that Colonel. And
even more important, he's not your stereotypical Colonel warmonger. He's all about supporting the president, whatever the president wants to do.
You know who is actually more that stereotypical character is Reborn.
Yeah, you're right.
He's more that guy in this movie. Than
I remembered where other movies I saw him from. He was from My Cousin Vinny.
What was he, Vinny?
He was.
Oh, he's the car expert. Yeah,
right.
He's the guy that Marissa Tomei ultimately makes look like a moron.
And he was also in Meet the Parents.
Okay, that I don't think I saw. Or if I did, I saw it once. I think I've seen it once, but is that the first one in the series of those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then I have seen that once or twice, but I don't remember him. You know what else he did? He was in a series I used to watch on USA called The White Collar. It was a Catch Me If You Can kind of story, and he was
I know of it. I never watched it.
It's a really good series, actually. I think you would actually like it a lot. But he played the director of the FBI. But he wasn't on every episode. He would periodically show up and have to do something. But he wasn't. I think he was in show was on for 5 seasons. And I think he was in
he was the Mycroft of Sherlock, so to speak. Wasn't in every episode, but was sort of integral when he.
You mean not Mycroft? You're thinking of his father. Mycroft's his brother.
No, I'm thinking of Sherlock. You're thinking of Elementary. I'm talking about Mycroft.
Yes. I think he's closer to the father in Elementary than
which I haven't
Mycroft.
even seen. So okay, I'll trust you on that one.
But anyway, the point to that is he's not a douchebag in that role. He's actually a good character. He's not like a douchey director. He's actually supportive.
Well, if I could talk about his character briefly.
Yeah, please.
His character's name is actually a reference to a studio exec that gave Roland Emmerich a bunch of shit. So the line of Mr. whatever the fuck, you're fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is a direct reference to them giving the actual guy who has the same name some shit.
Nice. Yeah. Want to talk about a couple quick jewels to this movie, if you will, and I use the word jewel loosely, but some quick standout. We talked about Judd Hirsch, but I would say Brent Spiner, Data as Dr. Oaken, I thought was a good cast.
That's fucking. Are you shitting me? I didn't even fucking know that was the same guy.
Yep, that's Commander Data, Lieutenant Commander Data.
Dude, I'm so not a Trek fan, and you could tell I saw Independence Day for the first time. I was looking at him like, who the fuck is this guy? I remember seeing this. I mean, for pound, I think the chilling scene for me is when they strangle the dude and use his vocal cords to speak. Right,
which is something I kind of had an issue with because we're going to jump around and we do that all the time. So let's get into that because that's one of the notes I took, right? All that scene happens. It's chilling, like you said. That scene, by the way, is the one scene that really felt like a horror movie because all the fog comes in and you just see all the shadow and bodies flying. It felt very Aliens or Predator or something like that. And I'm not saying any of that as a negative. It's just a point of contrast, if you will. But when they smack his face up against the glass and he does his talking for the alien and then they shoot the thing and kill it, they go in and check him and they basically give off the impression that he's dead. The one general feels his pulse and gives that typical TV look of he's not here anymore. And so it was widely accepted by many people I know that saw that movie prior to Resurgence coming out. He was dead. And we were all okay with it in that's just how the story went. We didn't necessarily not like the character, but okay, if that's what's going to happen, then it's what happened. So then for him to be in this 20-year coma in Resurgence was like, no.
Well, because I saw the special edition, I think it was. I'm trying to remember if they established that he was in a coma, but they actually left it open for his character to stay alive, and I think they kind of cemented that more in the special edition because they had always kind of planned on doing a sequel. They just didn't know when the fuck it was going to happen.
Right, but okay, and that may all be good and true, and I'm not debating any of it, but they didn't do that in the theatrical release, which is the one most people have seen.
Right.
So I had a bit of a problem with that. But we'll go back to other characters, and then we can... Oh, well, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, I want to talk about, what's his name,
Oaken.
Yeah. He, in the first film, they established him as this eccentric, kooky, if not gregarious character, right?
Right.
Kind of... And especially since he's in Area 51, and,
basically a prisoner in Area 51.
And as he puts it, they don't really let them out that often, is how he puts it.
Right.
And they kind of made him very flamboyant. And then in the second one, it's revealed that he's gay and that he has a partner.
Right.
Now, I kind of felt it was actually more homophobic to turn the character gay based on that he was just an eccentric, flamboyant guy. Not to say gay people can't be eccentric and flamboyant, but it kind of felt like a gimmick. You know what I mean?
I see where you get that, Rico. So, I'm not faulting your perspective.
I'm not completely out of line with my assumption, is what I'm saying.
No, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's more of... we need a character to represent that group, and they shoehorned it into the already existing character, as opposed to having a new character that may have been, a homosexual in orientation. And they didn't do it well. And that's kind of the problem.
And I agree with that as well. I think we're both right. I think it's a combination of the two. And actually,
the way you describe it, and I know you don't mean this, so I will defend you to the T that I know that's up, but you make it sound like they went out of their way to be homophobic, and I don't think that was the indication. Or I don't think that's what they were doing.
That was not my intention. I think, if anything, it was unintentional homophobia, is what I mean to say.
I could see unintentional, sure. Yeah, and if that's what you meant, then I agree. I have to agree with you more. But yeah.
I also will add the fact that Roland Emmerich made a whole big point on Twitter and social media before Independence Day 2 came out. He was talking about how he's there's going to be a gay character because it's important and also important for representation. However, a lot of people, especially critics and critics from the gay community, felt like you really made this a big deal, but it really was not that. It wasn't there. We actually had to kind of figure out the character was gay.
The execution was not well done. The intent was well and good, but the execution didn't work.
Especially since I didn't even know that the couple was a couple. I didn't even realize they were a couple when the guy was dying, then there was this moment of, oh, okay,
right.
I'm the more I talk about this, the more it sounds like I'm coming off bad, but I'm really trying to just explain. It just felt like they shoehorned a gay character into someone who was flamboyant, and it actually made it. I asked Stephanie, I'm like, is this kind of homophobic? She's like, a little bit.
And to me, his flamboyance was more a product of, how would I put this? The confinement of being in Area 51. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a way you would explain his flamboyance more than, his sexual orientation. That's how I always kind of, so that goes back to feeling like they shoehorned it into the existing character, so, not the greatest thing they did. I don't believe there was any negative, intent to that in any way. And I want to stress that to anyone listening, that we don't feel like that there was, an anti-gay thing going on, or a mocking of the homosexual community, as much as trying to represent, as you said, Emmerich said online or whatever, and just poor execution really is what it boils down to.
Right. Again, I mean, we're going back and forth. I thought he was more intriguing in the first one than he was in the second one.
Oh, without question. Sure.
Because
I agree.
he's overused in this one.
A little bit. I didn't mind him getting more screen time, but you're right. I think it's slightly overused. Yeah.
And he's even more over the top. But right. I still liked him more than whoever was that fucking piece of shit assistant who was just there for comedy relief.
Yeah, I know who you're talking. Yeah. Levinson. Actually, I don't think he was an assistant. I think he was there to evaluate the financial use of Levinson's department, and ended up turning into this renegade or whatever. Yeah.
Was his name Floyd?
I have here. I'll go back.
Fucking Floyd.
Fucking Floyd. You're talking about the actor's name or the character's name?
The character's name was Floyd, I think.
All right, hold on. I'm looking. Yeah, Floyd Rosenberg.
Just an awful character.
It was bad. Yeah, that not great. But I want to go back to a great character that I really enjoyed, and I might be alone in this, but I fucking loved Harvey Fierstein as Marty Gilbert, the assistant to the cable guy in the cable company.
I agree. I'm a massive fan of Harvey Fierstein. I mean, when he came on, I'm like, oh my god, it's me with a cold.
Yeah. Except he is actually flamboyantly gay and open about it,
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that there were two actors from Mrs. Doubtfire in this movie.
Right. It's the girl, Randy Quaid's daughter, and who's
the daughter, yeah.
And who's the second one?
Harvey Fierstein.
Is he in that? Oh, right, because he plays his brother, right?
Yeah, he literally makes the mask. He makes Mrs. Doubtfire's face.
Maybe I think I got that in Birdcage confused because
he says you look like a mother.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Everybody, let's pray.
But his and I've seen him in a bunch of stuff where his comedic chops are really good. His timing is something that's one of the best I've seen. He gets on the phone.
He's a playwright.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, there you go. But when he picks up the phone and he calls his mom and tells him to go to her sister's in Atlanta, and then he hangs up the phone. David, why did I send my mother to Atlanta? It's.
I read that the original line for I gotta call my mother. I gotta call this. I gotta call my lawyer. Fuck my lawyer.
Right.
It was really the original line. He's like, forget my lawyer.
Well, they wanted to make it PG-13. That makes sense because
you get one F-bomb.
I don't think it did 96. I think they've changed it since then. I don't think 96. Because those rules for the ratings have kind of fluctuated over the years. So I don't know that they were as loose back then. But anyway, that aside, that one, the scene in the car when he's calling his therapist and he's like, for $300 an hour, you can put me through to his house in the Hamptons. That's, and then ultimately when he sees the fireball coming at him, he's like, oh, crap. And then
the car lands on him.
Right. Yeah. So he was a great character. And honestly, to me, another great character, and it's a shame the actor's gone a little nuts, is Randy Quaid's character, Russell Case.
I have to disagree. Into this.
You didn't like him?
I didn't like. You know what? I guess I've never liked Randy Quaid. I've always thought he was. I mean, he is great at what he does for the character that he does,
right?
Which is the Cousin Eddie character. All his character in Independence Day is Cousin Eddie with a pilot's license. That's all he is.
I don't know what Cousin Eddie is, so
from National Lampoon, Christmas Vacation.
Nope.
Okay,
never seen it.
So in Vacation, Christmas Vacation. He is playing the exact same type of guy. Okay. A drunken, gross, cheap, ultimately lovable guy who's got a big family, but is like he's that guy he drives over in an RV and is dumping the septic tank into the sewer, and like the smell's getting everywhere, and it's hard to explain, but I guess I never particularly. He's good in that role, but I guess I always prefer Dennis Quaid, like as opposed to Randy Quaid.
Yeah. Of the Quaids, he's not the better. We'll put it that way, because I agree with you.
It's unfortunate Randy Quaid has gone batshit bananas, like total fucking nutty and total schizophrenic, and I feel for him. I feel for anybody who has a mental illness. However, there were clear signs for years, and someone should have stepped in. I mean,
right.
Dennis, you should have fucking stepped in.
Right. But, I mean, I'm not telling you it's a likable character, but I guess so I'm kind of saying the same thing you are. Like, I liked his performance of what the character is, because the character's not a very redeeming character for the 95% of the movie. You know what I mean? Like he finishes strong. He does finish strong, but I mean, like, can't tell you how many times I've been exhausted or whatever, and like Deb or somebody's brought me a cup of coffee, and I'm like, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Like that line he does when he's trying to sober up so he can fly the jet plane. I agree. He had some comedic chops in it. I think I would have liked to have actually had gotten a proper answer of whether he was abducted by aliens 10 years previously or not. I think to me, it's pretty clear. I feel like he was. If he was, then the American government would have known that, like, the aliens were there. Not necessarily. I mean, and we'll get to the bigger problem I have with the alien race, this alien organization, because I have a big fucking problem with that part. Well, I think my bigger problem with the Randy Quaid character is actually not so much about Randy Quaid or his character. It's about the kids. I think the kids are just kind of not I think there's too many problems and we don't really get any resolution. Right. Like, because I don't know if it is for the theatrical release, but the special edition one, the kids are in it a lot. And like the youngest one is like super sick. And there's a sequence in the first one, in the theatrical, where he's sick, but there's no real explanation for why he's sick. He's just sick. Well, in the special edition, they say there's something wrong with his fucking blah, 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 blah. Which means it could be like Crohn's disease or something. Right. Okay. But why introduce this really kind of important plot point and then really get no resolution? Because the movie ends with the kids still probably fucking sick as shit. Well, yeah, and then maybe that's why I got cut out of the theatrical version, because in the theatrical version, he's just laying down in the bed in the back of the RV, and the sister comes to the older brother and is like, his temperature's pretty bad or something to that effect, and then they just dismiss it. It just goes away. Right, and I'm just saying it was just not a good thing to have. The only reason why those kids are even in that movie, with all respect to all three actors, is simply so that when he flies the plane into the ship at the end of the thing, you can have that heartfelt moment where the kid has that, like, come to Jesus moment about how awesome his father was. You know what I mean? That's really the point. But couldn't they have done it with less of that? Like, could it have just been like a scene? Yes, or you don't even need it. Like, I don't feel like that part was necessary. You know what I mean? So my favorite one of his kids was the Hispanic Keanu Reeves. Yeah, the oldest brother. Yeah, Keanu Reyes. Oh, jeez, I'm not even going there. That's all Keanu Reeves. That's all you. That's all me, man. But tell me that dude is not like a Hispanic Keanu Reeves. Like, he's Keanu Reeves circa 95. Well, let me ask you this. How much do you remember Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage? None? Okay. I haven't seen Gone in 60 Seconds. There's a character in that movie that I actually had to go back and see if he played the same, like it was the same actor. It's not. It turns out it's two different people, but they're practically the same fucking character. It's really.
I think I know who you're talking about because as I was watching this one, I was like, "Fuck, he looks so much familiar." And it's not just because he kind of resembles Keanu Reeves, but like, there's something about this guy. I'm like, he looks like someone else that I'm trying to place. I'm just gonna look him up because.
While you're doing that, I want to ask you, and it's going to sound like a really left field question, but are you a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No.
No? Have you just not seen it, or you're not a fan?
I saw one episode, and it was like I was babysitting someone, and I just kind of was like, "What the fuck is this?" I don't know.
Well, that aside, I think you would actually like it, but what I didn't know until literally just right now is that the actor who plays the president's daughter, the little girl, is a voice of one of the major characters in that series. So that's kind of a cool thing for me, just because I'm a big fan of the Avatar. So, anyway.
Wait, you said Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yes.
It is the same guy.
Is it?
James Edward Duvall.
Oh, shit.
Or Duval.
I think it's, yeah.
Duval. I mean, it's not Duvall like Robert Duvall, it's Duval, I think.
Well, are you sure? Because...
he said he plays Fred.
No. Well, Fred's... Okay, so it is the same guy. I thought I looked it up and it was someone different, but yeah, that's
He's also in Donnie Darko. He plays Frank, the fucking rabbit.
Well, what I was asking if you're sure about is whether or not it's not Duvall, because Robert Duvall is also in Gone in 60 Seconds, and I wonder if that's how he got the role as Fred.
I don't think so. I think also Robert Duvall and this guy's last name are spelled differently.
It's Duvall with two L's on the Robert?
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy's different. It's one L.
You're right.
But he, I'm looking at this photo of him.
Yeah, that's him.
And he looks exactly the same. Like the dude aged really well.
Yeah. Anyway, oh, no shit. I just learned something about Gone in 60 Seconds I didn't know either. How about that?
That it was at one point a movie?
No, I love this fucking movie. Fuck you. No, what I didn't know, to be honest with you, is like Angelina Jolie's character, her name in the movie is Sway. They just call her Sway. That's what they call her by.
Okay.
In the credits here, it says her name is Sarah Sway, in quotes, Wayland. So Sway is Sarah Wayland.
Sarah Way, got it. Sway. Yeah, I see it.
But I never knew that before right now because I was just never cared to look really.
Guys, CJ's learning shit.
Right? What the fuck? Hey, we taught Smoke something a couple episodes back, if you recall. So.
Yeah, that Justin Trudeau had sex with an alien?
No. I was talking about the pirate stuff, but yes. Getting back to... So, should we get into my biggest problem with this? Again, it was fine if they never made the sequel. The sequel is what drew my ire. Not because they made a sequel, but we'll put it this way. It made a plot hole where there was no plot hole.
Okay.
Prior. So, we're going back to the sequence with Oaken up against the glass and being choked out and speaking for the alien, right? So
in the first one.
Right. So, they're talking to him, and then President Whitmore, what the fuck is his name? I just blanked on his name. Shit. Pullman's character says, "What do you want us to do?" And he starts repeating "die," and then he does the mental telepathy.
Just say it once.
I think he said it twice, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But then he starts doing the mental thing that's represented by like this high pitched screeching noise, and he starts like falling over or whatever.
Right.
And then they kill the alien. He stands up and he goes, "I've seen their whole plan." They go from planet to planet using every natural resource with their whole society. That's the key word here. So they're traveling around with their entire society, right? According to what the president saw from the images that I guess they put in his head or whatever.
Right.
Then they blow up the mothership later in the movie. Spoilers, people, on a 23-year-old movie. But they blow up the mothership later. And it's assumed that all of them are dead, except maybe the ones that might still be, strangling around on Earth, right? That maybe not died in the bigger ship, the scout ship explosions or whatever, right? That I can wrap my brain around. But the society's supposed to be gone, and then they're back 20 years later. Sorry, you lose me there. That's the biggest problem I had.
I can agree with that, and I do ultimately agree with that. That it does seem like the only thing I could say is that there was another, like the Queen's mothership was just in orbit out of our fucking solar, like in our solar system, but like far enough. But like, I'm with you. It was a cheap cop out.
It even had a cloaking device, which I can get behind all that. My problem is the line was written for the script. Their whole society travels to do this. So there shouldn't be any more. And I can't even blame this on, like, new writers. Because, no, Roland Emmerich and, I had the name right here, hold on. Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin wrote both of them.
Yeah, but this one, the second one, had like 15 other writers on top of it.
Screenplay writers, of which Dean Devlin was also a screenplay writer, as well as a story writer, as well as Roland Emmerich. Like, they're involved in both aspects.
Yeah.
No, sorry, you don't get a pass here.
Is it fair to say that Roland Emmerich is the Michael Bay of the early 90s?
I don't know enough about him. I'm actually clicking on him right now to see what other stuff he's done because, looking at his filmography, I
want to say he did The Day After Tomorrow, right?
He did. Yep. And when it comes to movies, yes, I think I have to agree with you. However, because I want to give him the credit where it's due, that's a writer. Hold on, maybe that's not directing. Hold on, I was looking at his writing credits. Because he wrote a lot of Stargate, the Stargate TV show.
Right.
He's apparently wrote a lot of that, and I know that show's highly heralded. Like, it's got, a lot of people love, but
wait.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on the plot hole. I'm with you. And also, if
it's
I'm
a big
being
plot
honest,
hole, right?
I'm really trying to look at this Alien movie separate from other Alien movies. I'm really trying.
I'm glad you phrased it that way because I really feel like the second one's trying to be Aliens.
Agreed. The whole clean thing. Also, I think I dug the first Independence Day because you really didn't see the aliens that much, and when you did, there's a lot of mist and steam, and they look like puppets. They look like they move kind of clunky. Whereas in this fucking new one, CGI just ruined them.
Well, and also, I mean, and you're the film guy and the one with the filmmaker mind, according to Matty Granger.
That was one of the happy fucking moments of my birthday episode.
I'm sure. The mist and smoke and whatnot that you referred to from the first one, which I agree with you was a good idea, so I'm not being critical of that. But that to me felt very Jaws.
Jaws and the first Alien. You're right. In the shadows, it's a suspenseful movie, whereas this was just straight in your face CGI action, and oh my god, look, it's a giant clean alien in the desert chasing after a school bus, and you're just, why the fuck is this a thing?
I need to back up to that for a minute because you talked about the kids being Randy Quaid's character's kid, Russell Case's kids kind of being irrelevant to the movie, right?
Right.
That group of kids that find Levinson's father really just come out of left field, and there's no reason for them except to pull him off that boat.
And what I did like was one of them, there's a younger blonde girl, and she's not even like the main, like there's an older blonde girl who's sort of the leader of the group. Right. And there's a younger blonde one. That's the girl who plays the young Captain Marvel.
Yes. Yes, I do recognize her.
She was also this fucking good movie. Well, I don't know. I mean, I liked it. It's called Gifted with her and Chris Evans. Chris Evans is her uncle or something. Okay. And she's a fucking genius. And he's raising this genius, and she just kind of is like, it's like Good Will Hunting, but with a little kid.
Right. Now,
and I'm seeing this actress a lot. I'm really kind of digging her. I'm like, I want to see more of her. Like, I almost would have preferred they like gone even more crazy and have Captain Marvel be a 9-year-old and just have her be it.
Right.
She spoke. I mean, nothing against Brie Larson, but this little girl just spoke more volumes and has like the acting chops. And I think like more or less this like Independence Day was probably her first like movie.
Yeah, I can't find her, but I think you're probably right. Like I'm not, because she's not listed as a major character, so it's a little hard to find her.
Well, just look up Gifted.
Okay.
But anyways,
what did you think about? Because that's another thing I was talking about when we were at the thing last night about Vivica Fox. She goes from stripper to like doctor.
You know, I brought that up to Stephanie when I watched it because she missed 99% of the movie, and then she saw the tail end of it today.
Okay.
I was sort of giving her the rundown, and I'm like, not to say a stripper can't become a doctor.
Right.
But what the fuck?
Well, as Kane put it when we were talking, he said she's that 2% that actually are working their way through medical school while they're dancing. You know? And look, you're right. It's not to say that she can't actually go from being, you know, a stripper to a doctor. You're absolutely right. But it goes back to the same kind of plot hole. When she's talking to the first lady, she's doing it to get the money to support her son, not go to school. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, maybe helping the first lady inspired her. Like, you know what? This is what I was meant to do. I'm meant to help people in different ways.
Right. But that's the bigger point for me is not that, and maybe the bigger problem is not that she became a doctor. Great. I don't really have a problem with that. It's this gaping plot hole between the first one and the second one where there's no exposition. There's no, why is this here now? Do you know what I mean?
You know, I just felt like, that was more believable than whatever uninteresting character development they did for Dylan. I thought Dylan, it could just be the fact that like it's very obvious that Will Smith's character was not his biological father because there's clearly charisma skipped this kid.
Well,
like,
but they say that
bland,
they address that in the first one,
right? And it's very fucking obvious that this kid does not have the charm of Will Smith. He is definitely the stepchild. He's just
right.
You know, I just felt like it was such a fucking... there's this whole new gimmick of you're going to make a sequel of a really well-regarded film, and it's going to be 20 years later, and the main character is going to be the nephew, the son, the fucking... the kid who was in the background. It's going to be a whole story all about him. And you're like, fuck, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
You know, I just don't give a shit. Like, I'm sorry that you want to make a movie about something that I don't care about.
They didn't need to make that movie, is really what it boils down to. They really, I mean, I get wanting to celebrate the 20th anniversary and that. And same thing with like the fact that they got Liam Hemsworth to be in it. Like, I felt like they put him in, he's strictly in that movie to be Will Smith. Is really what he's in that movie to be. Like, because they're drawing off, whether it be the Hunger Games or, you know, his smaller role in the Marvel Universe. But they were trying to draw off of that, you know?
His one role as the other Thor, you mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the fact that he was going to be Thor, that's probably something that was discussed when they were, trying to cast this person.
Right.
Going back to your McKenna Grace real quick. Oh, go ahead, please.
Well, that was my point, is that if Liam Hemsworth is the closest thing to Will Smith's character, than the kid who's playing his son, that's my point.
I felt like actually the one that was closer was the, for lack of a better phrase, younger brother of Liam Hemsworth's character, because they were like brothers in the orphanage because their parents both died on the original event. I can't remember, but that guy.
I liked him, actually.
I did too. I thought
he was a good character.
Going back to McKenna Grace real quick, that's the actress you were saying that you liked that's in the movie. Where I know her from, because I do recognize her. I didn't remember her so much from this movie, but like when I saw her picture when I looked up, I know this young woman, and she's played the same character in a couple episodes of Young Sheldon, which is that spin-off of The Big Bang Theory. And she's also been on Fuller House, the reboot of Full House from the 90s. And it's on Netflix. Okay. Where you might find interesting for her, though, is she's in the new Annabelle movie that came out this year. Annabelle Comes Home. Yeah, she's in that. She's in this movie that's filming right now called Scoob, which, based on the character, I think is going to be a Scooby-Doo type movie.
I did hear they're making another Scooby-Doo movie.
And she's going to play young Daphne, apparently. So, as a voice. So maybe it's an animated movie or something?
It's probably going to be like another CGI version of like the Addams Family that they're doing.
But she's also going to be in the new Ghostbusters. The one that Jason Reitman's shooting.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, talk about 20 years later or whatever the case, this is what I'm getting excited about.
I am even more excited now that they just revealed that Paul Rudd's going to be in it.
Yep. I mean, that's exciting, but the fact that you got Aykroyd to come back, you got and you got the white whale in Bill Murray, because he was like never again,
I think the rumor is that Paul Rudd's going to play Harold Ramis's son's.
I could see that, and I think I'd be okay with that. Like, I think that's a good cast. I do, because he's got a Harold Ramis kind of. He can do that not Venkman, but Spengler, Egon type delivery.
Egon, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Spengler's his last name.
Right, but I can. The thing is that we're going all over the fucking place. But like Harold Ramis, towards the end of his life, and I said this on one of our previous episodes, is that he looked more like a father to Seth Rogen than Paul Rudd.
By the end of it, yeah.
But if you take Harold Ramis circa good Ghostbusters, then for sure he would be the father of Paul Rudd.
Exactly. And that's why they're doing it. So.
What I'm afraid of is sort of what we're talking about is making a sequel 30 years, 20 years, 15 years later about the son of the main character. Or at least shoehorning we need another character. We need a fifth because so and so died. John Belushi died, so we got to use Jim Belushi.
Well, here's the thing. First off, with all respect to Harold Ramis, I would say the main character of Ghostbusters is Bill Murray, is Venkman. So I would feel more that way if it was Venkman's son. Now, that aside, right, my big concern about that movie, very quickly, is, I just had the thought and I lost it. Son of a bitch. Yeah, forget it. It's gone.
Well, look, let's go back to fucking Independence Day.
Well, yeah, but okay. So for our listeners, you can tell how we're struggling because, especially the resurgence. Like I can suck ID4's dick all day because I think that's a great movie. I enjoy that movie a lot. But the resurgence, like that, got you on that, didn't I?
I'm just imagining it's a droid named ID4 and you're just blowing a fucking, like it's R2-D2's like uncle if we're going into this.
Yeah, no, we're not. But okay.
It's a struggle. You're right.
Yeah.
It is. Also, I don't like the title. The title is just
Resurgence.
Yeah, you know what, dude? This movie is just a classic example of when they make another movie and they don't want to call it Resurrection, they call it something else. Or if not, it just they'll make the other sequel and it's going to be like Halloween Resurrection, Alien Resurrection,
right?
But and Resurgence is just the other gimmicky title that's not Resurrection.
Okay, but they were its tentative title, and I think it went real close to the end of the finishing of the movie was ID5, and I would have had a bigger problem with that.
I mean, I'd rather it just be called, not made this movie. Like that's what it should have been called. Is this film is still just call it Independence Day Untitled Sequel. Because that was a better title than whatever the fuck. Just, you know what? Just call it, Independence Day, The Last Jedi.
Yeah, the other thing that I really didn't like is I felt they rushed it. It felt very rushed to me. First off, it's a lot shorter. The first one's
It's
2.5
hours.
almost 240. Like I think it's almost 240. Whereas the second one's 2 hours. Like solid 159.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so they because of this time difference, they have to like rush this stuff together. And you get to the reveal a lot faster. Like I felt like the build up in the original Independence Day was better done.
Agreed. It's funny. I didn't feel like they were both directed by the same guy.
But they are, and right, I agree.
I know, but they are vastly fucking different films. Whereas it really is, to go with the comparison, it is Alien versus Aliens if they were both directed by the same guy. Because it's, Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, is super suspenseful.
It's more of a psychological thriller than an alien movie. But I mean, there's aliens.
It's still got some gore, right? Whereas it's not like James Cameron film.
Okay.
Yeah. Aliens is a straight up action sci-fi movie, whereas Alien is Jaws in space. And I think Independence Day had that Jaws suspense element, and then Independence Day 2 was just fuck it. We are on. It was Sharknado. Is really what it was.
Of which they're making the 6th. It's filming now.
Oh, what's it called? Who gives a fuck?
That's what the first one should have been called.
I will give some praise. I like the music. The composer of the first one and ultimately the second one, David Arnold. I guess because when I was like, who the fuck did this music? Because the Independence Day theme is it's reminiscent of John Williams. It's theatrical.
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's in a weird way, it's kind of like the Superman theme. It's just more patriotic. But Steph actually did some fucking homework, and she gave me a fucking a dry erase board of David Arnold's compositions. This dude did the music for. Are you ready for this? I don't even look it up. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies, the Bond flick.
Right,
he did a lot of Bond movies. The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, and Quantum of Solace.
All right.
Oh, and hold on, and the games, and he did the video games
nice.
of the games based on those movies. He also worked on Stargate, so that's where I'm sure Roland Emmerich met him.
Okay.
As well as, bear with me, Godzilla,
which is another Roland Emmerich movie.
Right. Shaft, the first one, the
90s one,
second one, the second one, I guess.
Yeah.
Zoolander.
It's getting worse the more you listen.
That's what I'm saying. But there's some. It picks up briefly. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Hot Fuzz.
I never saw it, so.
Oh, you need to see Hot Fuzz.
Oh, I think I saw it once.
Of all the talk of Bad Boys that you muster out, you need to see Hot Fuzz.
I think I've seen it once. That's the one with Simon Pegg, and he's like the cop.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I've seen it once. Yeah.
One of my personal underrated favorites is Paul, which is about an alien. Independence Day 2, and then this TV show, Sherlock.
The Sherlock we like Sherlock? The BBC?
The Sherlock that we like Sherlock.
Nice. All right.
So the dude's got some credits. He's just got some fucking stickers. Could anybody tell me what the fucking music of Zoolander is? No.
Does anyone care what the music of Zoolander is? No.
But,
I get you though.
You know, it just felt like two separate. My initial original statement that I said earlier in the episode was, I think I would have actually been okay with this sequel if it was not a sequel.
It was an independent alien movie.
If it was an independence movie, yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
speaking of those, I do have the title for no, see, this says it's 18, so maybe it's, hold on. Yeah, it came out already.
What?
I guess they're doing a 7th. I thought it was 6, but I guess they're doing a 7th. Hold on. Yeah, they're doing a 7th tornado. I thought the 6th one was the last one, but apparently the 7th one's going to be the last one.
What was the 6th one? Revenge of the 6th?
No, the last Sharknado, it's about time.
And then the 7th one's going to be called Sharknado. We lied.
Maybe. I mean, that's the one thing. I don't want to get into a Sharknado thing because A, I've never seen them, but B, I don't care enough. But the one thing I will give them credit for is they know what they are, and they put it right on Front Street. Like, you know.
It's self-deprecating, whereas Independence Day 2 tried to be a good movie.
Right.
And that's the other thing that I didn't like, is that there was a lot of rehash of lines. Like,
yep.
You know, Will Smith, when he says, "Welcome to Earth," and punches the fucking alien, which is a fucking great part.
Yeah.
And yells, and he's dragging the fucking alien across the desert.
I should be at a barbecue. All right, now I'm dragging your ass to the desert. And what the hell is that smell?
You know, the line, "What the hell is that smell?" was improvised, because when they were filming it.
Yeah.
What?
That sounds like a Will Smith thing.
Where they were filming it, there was a lot of rotted brine and shrimp from nearby, and the wind had just blown this rotting sea shellfish shit into Will's face, and that's why he reacted so vehemently against it.
Nice, but it fits.
But it fits, and then they started adding those lines of how the aliens just stink. But the line where after he punches the fucking alien, says, "Welcome to Earth," he said, "That's what I call a close encounter." When he's got the cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
His fucking kid said, "Get ready for a close encounter" in this one.
Oh, really? I don't think I connected. I believe you, but I don't think I connected it that way.
Which means that Will Smith took his son and said, "Here's a thing that you don't know about, is that when I punched out the alien and said, 'Welcome to Earth,' which is just a fucking amazing badass line by itself, I also said, where no one was around, this fucking also kind of like cool line, but like, I'm telling you to show you how badass I am, and then you're going to remember it for the next 20 years, and you're going to do it." Why the fuck is his son a pilot, by the way? Why is everyone fucking pilots in this fucking movie? You could be other things. Fucking Vivica A. Fox went from being stripper to doctor. Can everyone fucking be something else?
I kind of think I almost wonder if it went like the route of Israel. I'm not even making a joke here, but like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
So when you're an Israeli citizen and you grow up in Israel, you're required to do 2 years of military service.
Oh, okay. I do know what you're talking about.
So I'm wondering if they kind of
America just became a fucking, like, everyone's got to, like, put in their time.
Kind of, yeah. I wonder.
I think Steph made a point, because it wasn't the Israel thing, but she said, I wonder if it was, like, inspired by the Cold War, where there were a lot of people after the Cold War signed up.
The same thing happened with 9/11, Same
True.
thing.
I mean, but why is Will Smith's son or stepson or whatever the fuck?
Well, him I can kind of get. Like he's the one that makes sense. The one I don't get. Well, I guess I kind of get the Whitmore's daughter too. I mean, because they were both pilots. That's the thing. Like following in Dad's footsteps. Like I kind of get that. They were both pilots.
And that's kind of a fucking gimmick.
Gimmick or not, it at least makes sense.
It makes sense. I just,
Jake Moore is being a pilot.
Fuck this movie.
Fuck this movie.
I will not pledge allegiance to this movie. Okay.
Well, no one's asking you to. But I mean,
I'm making a patriotic joke to it.
I get it. Another great line from the first one though that I still to this day use a lot, and anyone who's my age gets it. Like that's the other thing about this movie is the first one has a lot of lines that people my age will get, even if you haven't seen the movie. Sometimes it's one of those type things. And like the sequence where they're flying the individual ship into the mothership to blow up, and at one point they take over, the mothership takes over the flying. Well, he says something to Goldblum about, why didn't you tell me? And he goes, oops, which is a reference to earlier when... Right, the oops isn't the important part, but he goes, we got to work on our communication skills. And that's a line that people in my circle still throw around because of that movie, I think
you and I can relate to it just being podcast hosts for each other.
Well, that too. But yeah, I mean, I've been using that line since 1996.
Speaking of rehashing of lines, did you notice the must go faster, must go faster?
Yep. I mean, there's a lot. And then they did it in the other one, too. The young guy that you like is the one that uses it in the second one.
Oh, he said it again? I didn't catch that part.
What do you mean?
Must go faster?
Right. In the second one, it's not Goldblum that delivers it. It's a different character.
I don't remember the younger dude saying it in the second.
Yeah,
I
when they're getting out of the mothership, when they finally steal the alien craft and they're trying to get out of the mothership.
Oh, I must have. Okay, I missed that part.
No, it's a forgettable part, believe me. So I can see how you would have missed it. But
this movie was overall just. I'll tell you what. I am more intrigued of the potential third movie, of where they just go and find the aliens on their fucking home planet or something.
With the orb creature thing?
Yeah, what the fuck was that? This movie was just a sci-fi movie where it ripped off every other science fiction movie. It literally had a sphere from the movie Sphere.
Okay, I don't know Sphere, but I'll trust you.
Sphere's a fucked up psychological, suspenseful sci-fi thriller with Dustin Hoffman and fucking Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
And it's not all like even resembles a sphere, but the fact this is a sphere with artificial intelligence, and there's aliens that have a queen thing. And just what I'm saying is this movie just said, okay, we're going to look at like really good sci-fi movies. We're going to copy a couple things and then go on the next movie. We're going to copy a couple things of that one. Whereas they should just not have copied anything and just try and be, just throw it in the trash. That would have been the best thing they could have done. By all fairness, it is not the worst movie I've ever seen. But it's definitely a disappointing one.
I'm about to read you some disturbing information, and not like,
what did Matty Granger work on this? And I got to apologize.
No, God, I don't know. I didn't look, but that's not it. Okay. No. So I was looking up because you mentioned 3, like a third one, right? And you might have said it tongue in cheek, but I decided to look it up. No,
I'm pretty sure they're making a third one.
Well, not as of now, but
good.
It was set up for Resurgence to be the first of 3 additional films. So 4 in total from Resurgence. Now, here we are. Okay. So why haven't the sequels happened yet? This is from Screen Rant. So pretty reputable site, too.
Yeah.
Independence Day Resurgence was planned to be the first of what could have been 3 more films that would make the story and take the story in a whole new direction. Resurgence introduced this. This might clarify my society thing that I brought up earlier, but this wasn't made clear to me. You tell me if you think this was clear. Resurgence introduced a new alien species who are the enemies of the original invaders of Earth, which were finally given the name the Harvesters. After he defeated the Harvesters and their queen in Resurgence, the idea was for new heroes of Earth's space defense, Jake Morrison, Dylan Hiller, and Patricia Whitmore, and David Levison, to join an alliance of other races to take the fight to the Harvesters in space, as they kind of alluded to it if you remember the movie.
Uh-huh.
So I'm wondering if the way I'm interpreting this, and tell me if you agree, the Queen is not the queen of the aliens from the first one. It's a separate race altogether. But was that clear to you? Because it wasn't clear to me.
It was clear to me that there are multiple queens, is how
right.
I interpret it.
But that's not what this is saying. This is saying the queen is the queen of a completely separate race that's the enemy of the group that invaded us the first time.
No, the sphere is the enemy.
No. Here, I'll read it again. I got it right here. Introduced a new alien species who are the enemies of the original invaders of Earth, which were finally given the name the Harvesters. After the humanity defeated the Harvesters and the Queen in Resurgence, the idea was for the new hero. So unless they're talking about that sphere, which is not clear in this article. So the article's as fucking vague as the movie is.
Because no one knows how to fucking rationalize this fucking incoherent plot, dude. That's what I'm trying to say. Look, it was almost like they're trying to like copy Predators. That's my point. They're just trying to fucking copy other sci-fi movies. Sci-fi, as far as I'm concerned, is an original concept and a great genre to expand your fucking imagination. Unfortunately, there's only so fucking far you could take it. They're just going to be making references to other fucking movies. I mean, you get your Blade Runners, you got your Matrix, you get your fucking Star Wars, you get your Star Trek, you get your fucking Alien, and then you get Independence Day, which hates everything. It'd be like trying to make a movie about a cuddly alien. I wonder what the fuck that's a reference to.
Really quick, you want to know about the numbers for this? Because I have them.
Oh, the gross?
Yeah, I have it right here.
I'm going to guess it was like 115 million and made like 300 million.
The second one or the first one?
The second one.
You're close. It's 103 ultimately with 389 worldwide.
Okay, so it okay. I mean, it got its money back and it made a profit.
Right, but by comparison, because I have it here. Right?
Well, let me guess what the budget for the first one was. Okay,
these aren't budgets; these are just grosses. I don't have the budgets.
Well, that's a bigger deal because if the gross for Independence Day 1 and it had a very small budget, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think it had a small budget, but yeah.
Well, it had a smaller budget than Resurgence.
Probably. That's fair.
All right, I'm gonna guess Independence Day's budget was probably $40 million, and it probably grossed like worldwide over the past 20 years at least close to $1 billion.
I don't know what its budget was. The gross first weekend was $41 million. Opening weekend, 1996, 4th of July weekend.
And movie tickets were cheaper as shit back then, so.
Correct, right. And it grossed worldwide $817 million. Whereas Resurgence was $103.
Yeah.
Now, I have a budget for, okay, here we go. This'll enough answer your question. The budget for Resurgence was $165 million.
Okay, I was off by 60 now, but okay.
The budget it says here that which means it was twice more the budget of the first movie. So the first one was 80 mil-ish.
Okay, so I was off by 40. Okay, so, but even still, that proves my point is that its budget was $80 million and then it's made $800 million. Worldwide. So yeah, clearly whatever the fuck Independence Day 1 was a better film. And I think it's something about the simplicity. There is more shocking and terrifying to see the beam of light or whatever the fuck, the giant ass laser, the Death Star laser, blow up the White House, as opposed to the fucking gravitational pull that the second one was trying to do. It's still a cool concept, but we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
We've seen every new alien invasion movie starting from 2010 all the way to now is going to have major catastrophic consequences on Earth, and we're just kind of immune to it. Whereas I think the first one was super simplicity. It was super simple. It was
right.
Okay, fuck the world. We're just going to destroy the landmarks, and that's going to affect the patriotism.
To finish up this part of the conversation, I will say that the likelihood of the sequels is even less because apparently Dean Devlin has separated himself from the project altogether. He wants nothing to do with it. He said it. And then with the Fox Disney deal, apparently Disney's like, no, it can go away now. So
because they're going to be focusing on the Alien franchise instead. They're not going to compete with themselves.
Sure, and as they should, So, apparently they're going to try to do something with X-Men, but not X-Men, or X-Men, yes, but also the X-Files, it says. But it doesn't get into details, so I'm not going to get into that. Before we wrap up on Independence Day, there is one other actor. We talked about these, like, I don't want to say lesser known because that's disrespectful, but these actors. Go ahead, because they're not characters. Go ahead.
I think I know who you're going to bring up.
I'm trying to find his name. It's a guy.
Adam Baldwin.
Who?
Adam Baldwin, the guy who plays the sort of. Are you talking about the first Independence Day?
No, second one.
Oh, because there's that agent in the first movie who, he shoots the alien after they do the chokehold on fucking Data.
Okay.
And he's kind of throughout the film, and he's the one who interviews Randy Quaid and says "Oh, you were a pilot and you got to."
He was a colonel. He wasn't an agent. He was a colonel, or not a colonel, but maybe like a major. He was an army. Yeah.
But he was in a suit. He looked like part of
No, he was in military. He had the medal things. I remember. I know who you're talking about. Tall, blonde, kind of.
Yeah, young dude. That dude. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I have yet to watch it. But I have never seen Firefly, even though I'm a massive Joss Whedon fan.
Neither have I. So
I know, but you don't fucking you haven't seen anything of Joss Whedon apart from the Avengers.
Yeah, and old episodes of Roseanne.
Oh yeah, that would count, motherfuck. That's so weird to say that, but yeah. But I have the first season of Firefly. I'm burning through everything else first. But Adam Baldwin is in both of them, so I think it's funny that this dude's just surrounded by aliens all the time. But who were you going to say?
Hold on, I'm trying to. I can't find him in the cast for Independence Day, but I know another movie he was in. So give me 1 second, and I'll pull up his name.
You know who played Dylan in the first one?
Oh yeah, the kid that plays his Nicky in Fresh Prince, the kid from the Fresh Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's also Buckwheat in Little Rascals.
I never saw it, so.
Jesus Christ. I heard a rumor that...
Jesus Christ me for that. That's reasonable.
No, it's not. I saw Little Rascals.
Well, you like bad things.
Yeah, that's why you're my friend.
Probably.
I heard a rumor that Jada Pinkett had actually auditioned for the Vivica A. Fox role, but then she ended up marrying Will Smith in real life anyway, so it all worked out for them, I guess.
Oh, wow. I think I'd heard that, too. Why can't I find this guy? It's really annoying me now.
Just who the fuck is he?
The guy that ends up being president because of the whole White House cabinet
William Fichtner.
Yeah, that dude, I love that guy. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, and I was looking him up in Dark Knight because he's the bank manager at the beginning of Dark Knight.
He's also the secondary antagonist in The Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler one.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff, and I've always liked him. Deb knows him from the TV show Mom with Anna Faris and Jane. Oh shit! Now I gotta look that up. God damn it! You know the show I'm talking about?
Jane Curtin?
No, I don't think so. Alice and Janney.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know what show you're talking about, but it was fun to spitball with you. Stephanie refers to that guy as the guy who's always an asshole in every movie. And I'm like,
but
yeah, but sometimes he's a hero who becomes an asshole. Sometimes he's an asshole who becomes a hero.
And in this one, he wasn't just really just there. He wasn't an asshole, I don't think, at any point in this movie.
Tell us to the aliens.
Oh, well, come on. If that's the angle you're going, Jesus. Anyway, I think we've said what we can say about the series. Let's agree that the first one really just needed to stay by itself. The sequel really, I think, this is one of those instances where the sequel ends up hurting the original, I think. And that's not something that happens all the time. Sometimes a sequel will come out, the sequel will be bad, but it doesn't hurt the original. I think in this instance, it hurts the original.
I'll give you a comparison. This is the best way I can describe this. This is like if you took Jurassic Park and there was no other sequels apart, after the first one. There's no 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. And then you made the next sequel. It's only 2 movies, Jurassic Park and then Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. That's what this feels like.
Well, no,
is a 25-year gap. You bring back Jeff Goldblum, and it's all these new characters. You can give less of a fuck, and everything is flashier. And even though I still kind of enjoyed Fallen Kingdom, that's what it feels like. It feels like there need to be at least one movie in between Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence.
I was going to say Jurassic World to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, because but I get you're trying to go for the 20-year gap, so I'm with you there, but yeah.
Well, also just completely different, looks of the movie.
True.
I'm all for filmmakers trying new things and evolving their ways of filmmaking, but there is a complete departure of what Roland Emmerich did, which was, he did it so well for the first film. It was patriotic. I mean, even fucking Pullman's speech,
yeah, which
is great
and gets re-referenced in this movie because the opening sequence is them watching that speech.
Right, but then he delivers this really shitty fucking line in the second one, where he says, "On behalf of the of the world, happy 4th of July," and then just fuck you. Fuck you.
So,
you know what this movie was? It was Spaceballs. It was bad.
Some people say Spaceballs is bad. I don't, but I know
no
people
one
think
says Spaceballs is bad.
I've heard people tell me Spaceballs is bad.
Well, those people need to get fucked in the ass by the aliens.
Speaking of being fucked in the ass by things, you saw Chucky, and I heard that was terrible. So,
you know what's really fucking funny is that I am sort of in the demographic where I kind of didn't like it. Everyone else is raving about it.
Are they really?
The critics are fucking talking shit because it's a horror film, and unless it's the fucking Conjuring or fucking Insidious, or like Hereditary, it's got to be like of caliber of Exorcist.
Right.
Critics are gonna shred horror films, especially a slasher film with a fucking doll. But like everybody else who's seen this movie, normal people like you, me, and well, maybe not you, but we are. That was a subtle Dogma reference, by the way. It's normal people like you, me, and him. Well, maybe not you. What and it's Chris Rock telling. Whatever, dude.
Right,
I'm not going to over-explain the fucking reference.
No, I get it now. Finish your Chucky point.
A lot of people are open to it, but a lot of people aren't. And I think what it is that it's getting a lot of praise from people who forget that there were actually some good Child's Play movies, and I think they're just thinking of the bad ones, and because it's not an awful film, it just doesn't work for me. It's, and I know you could care less because you're not a horror fan. 2, you could give less of a fuck about a killer doll, but
well, and plus listen, you're right. I'm not a fan of those things, but if you'll indulge me for like a minute here, like I have a problem when they take a franchise like this because it's certainly a franchise. It's not just a movie or a trilogy. It's a franchise.
Also an ongoing franchise. That's the fucking other thing.
Well, and maybe that's where you can defend what I'm about to say, but like, I don't like when they take it and you were talking about recasting, like, they did that Nightmare on Elm Street without Robert Englund. Fuck that. Like, you know what I mean? Same idea. Like, look, we both love Mark Hamill. You're trying to get him on the show. Mark Hamill, please come talk to us. But like, and he's a great voice actor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking away from his ability, but like, he should have said no out of principle. Now, I know he wouldn't because he wants to work and they were throwing a lot of money at him, I'm sure. So I'm not faulting him, but really, he shouldn't have done it for that reason, you know?
Even he said that he enjoys, I don't know if he's a big fan of horror films, but even he said, like, I love Chucky. Like, you know, I love, like, he actually voiced Chucky in a clip of Robot Chicken.
Right, but and that's fine because it's Robot Chicken, and that's probably a good choice for that. But I'm saying, like, Robert Englund, going back to Nightmare for a minute, is Freddy Krueger, right? So putting someone else in that thing is a problem.
I actually will defend Jackie Earle Haley as the other Freddy Krueger. I thought he had a harder job, which is he's not doing a Jason Voorhees or a Leatherface or a Michael Myers, which is be imposing, be big, and be quiet.
Right.
He has to be, you know, he has to talk, he has to act, and he has to be scary. And Robert Englund is a genius at being both terrifying and also can be funny.
Right.
And Jackie Earle Haley, I think, no matter what, he was destined to lose. I don't hate the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. I think I like him in the movie, whereas the movie I think is inferior. But I think he did a great job. Right. Whereas for Mark Hamill in this,
if I could just jump in because I want to defend myself slightly here. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about that actor. I know nothing about him. Like, you know him and you like him, and that's great and that's awesome. I know nothing about him. I think he was put, behind the 8 ball because he was cast. So I agree with you. Like, my issue is not with him. My issue is with the producers or whoever decided to say, let's replace Robert Englund with somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but Robert Englund was already kind of like, I'm done.
But then they shouldn't have made it. They should have just stopped. There's enough of them.
But they weren't going to stop because Rob Zombie had done Halloween, and there was all this whole new... And
that
actually
didn't do well, from what I recall.
The first one did really well.
Okay, but the second one didn't.
The second one made a lot of money, I think, but it still was critically awful. But actually, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Michael Bay and Planet Dunes, ironically enough, actually was the real reason why this was like all these new remakes of horror films.
Right.
I expected a remake of Child's Play years ago, but and I think that's my biggest problem is that you may not know this, is that there's the original franchise and it's still going. They're still going to be making movies as well as a TV show just called Chucky. There's Don Mancini, who created the character, wrote the first movie, and has gone on to direct some of the more recent ones. They've gone Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and then a big-ass gap, and then it was Curse of Chucky and then Cult of Chucky. Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky were released on Netflix from the past 5 years, and it's going in a more fresher, interesting way. Universal said, okay, fuck you, we're going to make our own Chucky at the same time. So there's now 2 separate Chucky lines that have nothing to do with each other, and now basically it's just going to divide the fans. That's what I have a problem with.
I agree.
That Universal made a fucking another Chucky to spite the filmmaker.
Okay, then I agree with you. That's even worse.
And again, I am gung-ho about trying to get Mark Hamill on the show. He's never going to do it. But, you know, his whole on his Twitter thing, he said, live your dreams, reach for the stars. Motherfucker, I'm going to keep reaching for the star. I got nothing to hold me back except
nothing
a
to lose.
Order.
Except I was going to say except the restraining order.
Right.
We actually we said that on the birthday thing. Maddie Granger said that, if you remember.
By the way, I did look up to see if Martin Scorsese has a Twitter. He does not, so I can't really stalk Scorsese to get him on the show.
I just picked a big name director. You know,
who would you want if you could pick any big, huge someone?
Like huge, like ridiculous.
No limit. Like sky's the limit.
Like no, but I'm saying like no chance we'll probably ever get the person because there's people lower that I think we could.
Of course.
Yeah. If we're getting the no chance in hell list, it's Spielberg for me. I would prefer Spielberg over Scorsese or, you know, one of those guys. That's just me.
I mean, any of those big ones, I will take. You know who I think is possible for being a huge star?
Who?
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Yeah, if we're sticking with directors, if I could bring it down a notch, and I when I say that, I mean with no disrespect to this individual person, because I need to be clear of that. Not only because I want to get him on the show, but because I actually respect the head of him, is J.J. Abrams. I would love to talk to J.J. Abrams.
I would love to talk to anybody who wants to come on and talk to us.
Well, of course, but
especially Mark Hamill.
Yeah, no, look, dude, I was afraid it came across that way on the birthday thing that we were really busting your chops. We weren't. We were all anyone that talked about that, we were applauding your guts and
my tenacity.
Yeah, dude, like I meant it as complimentary as it could possibly be.
Oh, I didn't take any offense to it. I actually took it as a major compliment. I'm here's the thing, and it's really funny. Mark Hamill is 100% aware of me.
Yes, because of the Oakland thing or whatever. Yeah.
Well, but also because I've tweeted at him, but also he made a reference to a comment that I made to him, but didn't like it or comment my claim.
Okay.
There was a guy who added Mark Hamill and said, "Mark Hamill, what should I get a tattoo of?" Because Mark Hamill is being bombarded by everybody. Because Mark Hamill is the shit. He's the fucking best person. And Mark Hamill said, "No tattoos, please." And then I commented and said, "That should be the tattoo." Is the quote saying, "No tattoos, Mark Hamill."
Right.
And I got a lot of love for that, actually. Mark Hamill fucking made a post saying, "No tattoos," and not this phrase either.
That's funny.
And then I commented on that. I said, "You don't even give me any fucking credit. You really are trying to ignore me."
It sounds like it.
So, but as Chucky, it's different. First off, the doll looks like shit. So I'm losing Mark Hamill by me being honest. I think the doll, which is not his fault.
Right, it's not his fault at all. But it's a CGI doll, if I read correctly.
No, it's an animatronic as well as CGI doll.
Oh, it's a mixture. Okay.
Yeah, it's 8 different animatronics, and it looks like a robot because that's the point. Is it's supposed to be a robot?
Well,
it's a robot gone bad.
Because the original Chucky and the subsequent Chucky movies that this original series that you talked about, those were all. Well, maybe not all, but most of them were animatronics, right? They didn't get into CGI until maybe the latter ones, if at all.
The last couple ones were mixed with CGI, and the CGI actually looked pretty good.
Okay.
Some of it looked a little clunky, but this one, when he's a robot, he's moving and jerking like a robot. He kind of spazzes, and you can make the argument that he's a robot. And also because he's a faulty robot.
Okay.
And Steph made a point because his eyes change colors. When his eyes are blue, he's the buddy. He's your best friend. When the maliciousness, when he starts going haywire, his eyes turn red. And there is never a part where he is learning how to move more fluid and run and jump. It just shows it. And that's what I think was more jarring was he's super jerky and robot stabby. And then all of a sudden sprinting and leaping super fucking high up in the air, trying to remember in Ready Player One where Chucky had a cameo?
Yeah.
It was like that. It was like he was super robot jerky. And then all of a sudden he's just super quick and stabbing and flinging everyone and flying everywhere. Also, there was the relationship between Aubrey Plaza, who plays the mom of the kid. She came off more like a sister than as a mom, and I kind of didn't appreciate that. But ultimately, Mark Hamill did a very good interpretation with what the director he was the best part with what they gave him.
Right.
And what they gave him was you are trying to please Andy. You are trying to make this kid your best friend. And whatever all the murders you do is you're trying to help your best friend. There's this reoccurring line where Mark Hamill's Chucky says, "Are we having fun yet?" And it's like he says that after like Andy finds a body. He's like, "Are you happy now, Andy? Are you happy? Are we having fun yet?" And that's a creepy part. It's a creepy aspect to it. The kills were kind of just meh for me, but there is one part that Steph can vouch for made me super fucking uncomfortable, and I was like shifting in my seat, and I was like twisting my fucking hands, and I was chewing the fuck out of my nails. I was not happy.
Okay.
And I gotta spoil it for those who haven't seen Child's Play. This is a very minor spoiler. Andy has a cat. He has an orange, young 2-year-old. Bear with me. The cat scratches Andy. Chucky gets alarmed and says, "Why did he do that?" He's like, "Oh, he's just being an asshole. He's a little dick." And Andy goes to the bathroom to get a bandage, comes back and finds Chucky strangling the cat.
Oh.
Bear with me. That's not the worst part. Andy knocks him down and says, "Whoa, you can't hurt the cat. You can't hurt things. You can't kill things." But he was hurting you. Like that's
right.
Chucky's very much an innocent, and I kind of dig part of it. If you're going to go a direction, go this direction. I like that.
Right.
I wish they wouldn't have made it at all, but whatever. Next, Andy comes home from school the next day. The cat is killed, stabbed by broken glass, like stabbed repeatedly. He buries the cat, or he throws it in the garbage chute. Yeah, he throws it in the garbage chute. He tells his mom the cat ran away, that he blames it on the mom's boyfriend, who he doesn't like. He opened the door. Oh, he left the door open. The cat got out. And this is the worst part for me. Andy's trying to go to sleep. It's dark in his room. There's a trailer where it shows him kind of scan the room, and he sees Chucky in the shadows staring at him. That's what this is. Chucky staring at him in the dark. And Chucky, throughout the film, reoccurringly will play audio to justify why he does what he does. He will record Andy say, "Oh, I don't like that cat," or I hate that cat," or "Oh, my mom's boyfriend's a dick, therefore Chucky kills him." And he's like, "Why did you do this, Chucky?" My mom's boyfriend's a dick." Like, he repeats shit.
Right.
Chucky, this is when I was like, this is not innocent robot. This is no longer innocent. He is doing this to fuck with Andy. Chucky replays the audio of the cat dying.
Oh.
Over and over. Like hissing, growling, yowling.
Yeah, fuck that noise. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I could get, like, all the people dying in the fucking movie, fuck them. You're in a horror film, you're supposed to die. But leave the fucking cat alone, dude. Yep. As soon as I saw there was a cat in this movie, I'm like, fucking this cat's gonna die. Fuck. And it wasn't him killing the cat, it was him taunting Andy like that. By the way, how come no one's talking about the fact that there are 2 fucking movies where there's a kid named Andy and his toys come to life?
What? Oh, right. Slightly different, but yes, I get your point.
I saw it was a B-. Child's Play was a B-.
As we're getting
still pretty generous.
How many fedoras? Because that's your scale here.
That's a 2.5 at the most. I mean, okay. Is it the worst Chucky movie I've ever seen? No. Seed of Chucky is still the worst fucking Chucky movie I've ever seen because it goes full on camp and ridiculous. Whereas this tries really hard to be a decent movie and in some scenes delivers, but ultimately it's clunky. It's weird. Also, there's a guy who looks exactly like Jack Black, and it throws me off.
I know you're not a sports guy. You never have been. But I will share as we're ending this episode that at least you have Chucky in the area at all times, because your Oakland Raiders hired John Gruden, who's commonly known as Chucky.
I actually heard about this, and I was trying to find a clip of it or a picture of him to see. I get it. I see it. I see the resemblance.
He has been known as Chucky for ages and ages and ages, and to the point that, and again, I know you don't follow sports very much, but especially the Oakland Raiders fans, they're fucking nuts. They are just nuts. And one of the things I've seen them do is go to the games in shoulder pads, and some of them have spikes on them, and they wear pirate stuff because pirates are a thing too, because Raiders. But
right.
Some of them have actually had the head of Chucky on the shoulder pads on either side. On this, well, not necessarily on the spikes, but just where the spikes would be, because he was the coach. Because he was the coach of the Raiders like 20 years ago, and then he took time off, and now he's back. And so, and yes, the Chucky's back has been a thing when they rehired him. So,
well, not to mention the new Chucky, Mark Hamill, was born in Oakland.
There you go. So,
well, here's a funny thing. I don't know if you know this. Do you know who recommended to Mark Hamill to audition as Luke Skywalker?
Oh, you've actually told me this before. You have mentioned it, but I don't remember.
Robert Englund.
Yes, you did say that. Now that you say it, I remember.
Which means this new version of Chucky is friends with Freddy, which maybe we'll see a fucking, crossover. Maybe we'll see Freddy versus Chucky.
It's got to be better than Freddy versus Jason.
Freddy versus Jason was pretty good.
I was going to end it there, but that's all right. But you do have a heart out, so we got to get you ready for your birthday dinner, my friend.
I do. I got to get out of here. I got to eat a bunch of, fucking food.
Benihana.
Benihana. Yeah.
I will. Thanks,
Benihana!
Benihana!
Benny-fucking-hana!
Happy 4th of July to everybody listening. Hope you're being safe. Please don't do stupid things with fireworks. Enjoy the day, and we'll get you on the next episode.
And that's what I call a close encounter.
CJ here with a few thank yous, and I'll let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. If you want to agree with or yell at us, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is at PodAskew, Rico is at RantsRico, and I'm at M_Blade. Listen to PodAskew on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you find podcasts. Please don't forget to rate and comment. We want to thank our logo designer and show friend Mike for his work on our wonderful logo. You can contact him for artwork via email at mpxl.s2art@gmail.com. Again, that's mpxl.s2art@gmail.com. Thank you to Dubbed in English for our opening theme music, 96 Reasons. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for our closing music, Theme Askew. You can find Sam on Twitter at Samuel Lemons, all one word, and his music on SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.
Time's up.
PodAskew.